Welcome to another episode of The Brand Called You, a podcast and podcast show that brings you leadership lessons, knowledge, experience, and wisdom from thousands of successful individuals from around the world. I'm your host, Ashutosh Garg, and today I'm delighted to welcome a very respected and successful AI entrepreneur from London, UK, but talking to us today from Vietnam, David. David, welcome to the show.
Thank you. It's a pleasure to be here.
Thank you. David is the founder and chief executive officer of groas.ai. So, David, before we talk of groas, I want a few questions for you personally. What inspired your move from private equity to starting your own AI company?
That's a good question. Um, yeah, I mean, look, I think I'd always known that that's what I wanted to do. I'd had a background in e-commerce as well, starting my own brands there, but always knew that eventually I wanted to do my own thing, like fully. Um, I'd been coding since I was quite young. Software is, I think, a much more profitable venture, I think, than
Hmm.
e-com. The margins are just
Yeah,
better. So
yeah.
a lot of things aligned. I think at the right moment, at the right time, the right
Mm.
problem, the right technology, everything aligned, I think, for me to make that jump.
Amazing, amazing. And you've built multiple seven-figure e-commerce brands. What are some of the biggest lessons you carried into groas?
Good question. I think the biggest one is that marketing and branding is 90% of the job, right?
Mm.
It's pretty clear that building software is becoming easier and easier today with AI assisted tools, LLMs, et cetera, et cetera. Really, most people can build software. Um, but most people aren't necessarily successful with software.
Mm.
That's because the hard part is getting your software in the hands of users.
Mm.
Uh, so that's a lot harder. And that is something I understood like from day zero of building Grass, that would be the most important thing to tackle.
Mm. And was there a specific turning point when you realized AI could revolutionize Google Ads?
Well, it wasn't, I don't think it was necessarily super immediate. For context, I'd known Google Ads quite well for a long time. Obviously, when you're doing e-com, you're spending a lot of time on these ad platforms. So I knew Google Ads quite well. But then I started to see that there were inefficiencies, things there that AI and particularly technologies could help with. So I started to sort of connect the dots and think, okay, maybe there's something I could build here that isn't out there currently, that Google isn't doing, which is a big thing. Google isn't doing it, and maybe they won't ever do it for business model reasons. Maybe there's something I can do here.
Mm.
So it was like a slow sort of thing. I wouldn't say there was one big necessarily hurrah moment. It was something that took time, but then when it clicked, it clicked.
Amazing. And tell me, I've been reading about groas a little bit. What was the problem you were solving for when you first conceptualized groas?
Sure. So really, the first thing we built was literally a one feature product. It was nowhere near what it is today and what it's going to be in a few months from now. It was essentially how can we match the text that a user sees on a landing page?
Hmm.
How can we match that up perfectly with their original search intent? So how can we match up basically the search term to the ad that gets shown to the user for the search term to then the landing page once they click on the ad. So it's that essentially that sequence of events. How can we make that messaging streamlined and aligned all in one?
Mm.
That was the first thing that we built into the product.
Mm.
It's now become a lot more than that, and it's going to continue to become a lot more than that. But that was, I think, the first thing I was solving for. And it turned out to be even just that one very basic feature, that very basic premise of altering the landing page to match the user set intent,
Mm.
that already became quite popular. And a
Mm.
lot of people were like, okay, this is great. I really like this. And that after that, I was like, okay, fine. This is enough, I guess, feedback from the market to know I should keep building this.
Amazing, amazing. And how did you validate that there was a strong market need for AI-driven Google Ads?
Yeah, it wasn't super obvious. So the first thing I did was obviously I bought the domain. I was like, I quite like this domain name. It kind of fits, because grow, ROAS, G for Google. I don't know why, it just sort of spoke to me. That one just kind of came to me. So bought the domain and set up a really crappy landing page. Okay, really crappy landing page with basically a couple pictures of this is what we're building. If you're
Mm,
interested, book a demo or drop your email, and then we'll get back in touch. And I started just writing things on Reddit, but not like promoting grass. I was writing like blog posts essentially on Reddit, like talking about Google Ads.
mm,
People would be like, "Oh, this is a great, very informative blog post." They would find my Reddit profile, and they would see in the in the profile, it would say founder of groas. Then they would go to groas, like, oh, fine, okay, fine, and there's a mystery. So
mm.
it started off basically like that. And I got like 100 emails
Wow.
like very quickly, 100 emails. I was
Mm,
like, okay, fine, people who are interested. And by the way, the emails that were coming in when I was having the conversations with them eventually and getting on the phone calls, they were all sorts of people, right? All sorts of business models, e-commerce, marketing agencies, lead generation companies. And I was like, okay, I'm speaking to all these sorts of people who
mm,
are interested in this.
mm,
Let's put some more time in this.
mm. Wow. Wow. And tell me, how does your AI model work differently from Google's own automation tools? Because now they've also invested serious money in AI.
Great question. So Google, yeah, that's a good point because Google already does a lot in terms of their campaigns and trying to optimize them with AI, right? They have their own self-learning mechanism. So when you kick off a campaign, Google's going to take time and see what's working for it and then optimize towards that, right? So maybe certain keywords or whatever. But there's certain things that Google cannot do and won't do, right? So the stuff that we do at the landing page level, right? Sort of customizing and the dynamic switching, Google will never do.
Mhm.
um, Stuff around automated rules around negative keywords, right? So understanding the context of your offer, et cetera, et cetera. These are things that Google just won't touch for a lot of reasons, most of them business model related. So we're really a level above. Now, where Grass is headed
Mhm.
as a product, and it's quite exciting, is up until now, there has been a human in the loop element, i.e., people go in, they look at what Grass is recommending, it says you should do this, and they go and they approve it most of the time, everything's great.
Mm.
In a few months from now, we'll be speaking in a world where essentially people log into Grass once, connect the campaign, and never log in again.
Wow.
That, that's where we're headed.
Wow. Wow. Well, maybe the brand called you needs to open an account with Groas now. After this, I will go and check it out, but different perspective. But David, moving on, in what ways does Groas challenge the traditional way agencies or marketers run ads?
Yeah, hey, look, I don't want to speak too badly on Google Ads agencies. That was I guess, the first thing I was almost in my head, not saying trying to displace, that would be the wrong term, but yeah, they charge a lot of money often for not doing a lot. I would say there's some really good marketing agencies and Google agencies that
Yeah.
exist out there, but I think 95% of them, um, I would say are overcharging for what they do, right? Because when you set up a campaign, that's probably the hardest bit. You've got to make sure everything's right. Once
Mm,
that's done, you can kind of chill and relax and monitor it.
mm,
And a lot of agencies, I think, overcharge.
mm,
Um, with where the product is headed, uh, particularly for small business owners who do not have the funds to invest in proper Google Ads management via an agency, then the product is quite game changing, right? Because then for our base plan is $79 a month.
mm,
For $79 a month, instead of having to pay an agency thousands of dollars a month, they can get the same results, if not better.
mm,
We're trying to get to a place where we can show conclusively that GROAS campaigns are beating human managed campaigns.
mhm.
That's going to be quite interesting. Still
Amazing.
some way to go.
Amazing. How does GrowAS ensure transparency in its AI decision making for clients?
Good question. The short answer is it depends a lot on the decisions and the recommendations it's offering you, right?
Mm,
So, for example, one thing we do is suggest new keywords to enter a campaign.
mm,
For all of those suggestions, we give in-depth reasoning based on a whole bunch of protocols, such as what you're selling, the metrics, et cetera, that says, hey, look, this really should be added to your campaign. It's currently not, but it really deserves to be added, right?
mm,
So we show in-depth reasoning. Same applies for negative keywords, which is something in Google Ads, where you tell Google not to show your ads for.
mhm,
Um, we have the same principles there, where we show in-depth reasoning as to why Grass is telling you to do those things. Um, this question of transparency becomes even more important in a world where our product is fully self-autonomous,
Mhm.
because then you're putting your complete trust essentially in the AI. So we're conceptualizing that now, basically how we can, from a UI perspective, make that very clear and nice to the user so they can understand what's going on. But
Mm.
it's a tricky thing to solve for, I'll tell you that.
Amazing. Great response. And based on all the work that you've been doing with so many different businesses, is there any specific type of businesses that benefit the most from using groas?
Yeah, I mean, look, when I first started building grass, the startup wisdom is always focus on one ideal customer profile, go just after them, and niche down on that, right? So I was like, look, I know e-commerce pretty well. I
Mm.
guess I'll do that. So I was like, okay, grass is going to be Google Ads AI for e-commerce, whatever. And that was like that's how I positioned it at the very, very start. Then what I quickly saw is I'm getting inbound from a lot of different business models and a lot of different people around the world. I was like, okay, fine, that's interesting. But that's still when the product had no users. So I was like, okay, maybe, e-commerce is still where it's at, where it's at. Now, where we have a product that's being used fully self-serve, we have so many different types of business models using Grass. I can't give you an answer. I can't say, oh yeah, Grass is best for
Understood.
lead generation campaigns in Texas. Uh,
Understood.
it's
Understood.
really anyone running Google Ads,
It's
but
gone well beyond e-commerce into virtually every possible business, isn't it?
correct. What I
Yeah.
would say, I think, and what I'm seeing now, because to talk about the history of Grass, we started off, so when I was first building the product, we started off by working only with really big Google Ad spenders, so people who
Mm.
really know what they're doing. They informed a lot of the product
Mm.
through that journey, so they were really great. They were the earliest customers. But now, so many more of our customers are small business owners, right?
Mm.
So people with budgets of, let's say, up to 10K a month, right? Not the 6 or 7 figures that I started off with. They're the ones who actually most need grass.
Mm.
Um, they're the ones, and to be honest as well, this whole push towards full self-autonomous, it's coming from them because they tell me, hey, look, David, this is great. I like it. I'm applying everything it tells me to do, but I don't want to even have to do that. Just do it
Mm.
for me. So yeah, I think small business owners, particularly in the future, are going to be the biggest benefactors.
Interesting. And your answer gives me the segue to my next question, which was about small businesses. How have
Mm.
you seen GrowAs make a difference for small businesses that previously struggled with that? And give me an example if you can.
Yeah, sure. Well, one of the first customers we had, actually, you know what? It is the very first customer.
Hmm.
Um, yes, we did work with some really big guys, but this person here ran an IT consultancy out of South Africa. Okay,
Hmm.
very niche IT services they were providing. They had really small spend. I think they had like a spend of maybe a K US dollars a month, which in the Google Ads world is really, really small.
Yeah.
Um, and however, they've been paying an agency
Hmm.
to manage their ads, something like $500 a month. So
Wow.
50% of their cost
Mm.
it was going towards like management. And then I looked, I was like, okay, let me see the campaigns that they've created and managing for you. And it was the craziest thing I've ever seen. I was like, everything is wrong. He's like, well, David, I'm not getting any results. Nothing's working. Why is this? I'm like, well, my mother, who knows nothing about Google Ads, could have probably done a better job at this.
Mm. Mm.
Um, and so they were, I think, one of the first, and that's really low hanging fruit because everything is set up wrong. There's so many inaccuracies, so many things to fix. But after being able to help him go from basically getting zero conversions, zero leads a week, to having to hire more salespeople because his conversion pipeline was getting filled in, that was like, okay, fine. I think we're onto something here.
Mm.
Let's keep going. But he was actually the first customer. Now I think about it, um, and yeah, he got helped a good amount.
Wow. Wow. And I'm sure a lot of my viewers and listeners who are small business owners will
Mm.
be listening to your comments very carefully. David, my next question is, are you focused solely on Google Ads or have you planned or already expanded to other platforms?
Nice question. So look, the first thing that I want to do is get this ads product where I want it to be, right? So I want it to be fully self-autonomous. I want small business owners as well as the big enterprises to absolutely love it, and I want it to make a very big dent in the
Mhm.
ad space, right? That's going to take a bit of time. there are also a few other things that I'm starting to think about that I want to build still under the Groas umbrella, so still under the same company,
Hmm.
but think of them as complementary products to the search ads space. So if right now we're focused on paid ads, I don't want to give too much away, right? Because
Hmm.
maybe competitors may be listening.
Yeah, sure.
Um, but it will be on the non-paid space. So things you
Hmm.
can do to boost maybe in other places and make that fully autonomous. That's where my head is at right now. But step by step, for now, we just want to focus on Google Ads and then we'll see from there.
Very interesting. How do you measure success beyond just return on ad spend?
You mean for our customers or
For your
for
customers, for your customers.
yeah, I mean, look, that's ultimately what it comes down to, really. That's the name of the game. That's literally, it's like investing in the stock market.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I say to people, where grass is headed, really, if you think about it,
Mm.
we are like a hedge fund for Google Ads.
Right.
People normally put X amount of money into the Google Ads stock market, whatever, try get a return. We're there to to hopefully get them an even bigger return. That's
Mm.
one aspect. The second aspect, um, I guess, kind of selling point is obviously time saved,
Mm.
right? That's a big one. But I don't like dealing with that. I don't really, it doesn't really excite me to say, oh, I've saved somebody 10 hours a week. I think it's much cooler to say, yeah, I've made someone a lot more money.
Mm. And how do you see AI changing the marketing industry over the next few years?
Everything's going to change.
Hmm.
Everything's going to change. And the reason, so obviously you have people like us who are building cool products around it. Okay, that's great. But also what's happening, and I think a lot of people aren't really ready, is the big tech companies who run all these big advertising platforms, Meta, Google, TikTok, whatever. At a base level, a lot of their ad engines and their campaigns, all of that is going to, I think, change quite a lot.
Mm.
Um, so I think marketing as a whole is going to change, and people are going to have to adapt really quickly. Um, ultimately, yes, we're almost, I don't want to say at the mercy of Google, but we work really closely with them. So any
Mm.
change that they put in place, we have to be the first to adapt.
Correct.
Um, so it's going to change the game a lot. Uh, all all these big companies are spending crazy amounts of budget to try to get ahead in the AI,
Yeah.
if you will. Um, so it's exciting times, but also possibly scary times, I would say.
Mm. Amazing. I have time for two more questions, David. How do you stay ahead of both competitors and Google's own advancements?
This is great. All these questions are literally questions I think about daily. It's it's amazing. Um, so in terms of competitors, that's actually one thing I don't think about. Genuinely, I do not think, or I don't think about that. All I care about is for the customers we have, are they enjoying the experience? Are they getting their own? Are they getting a return on using us? Right. That's like the only thing I care about. How can I make this product better, better, better? So that's in terms of competitors. Now, from what I've seen, or at least from what people tell me, because sometimes I have people refer to me, hey, look, I found this, hey, look at that. There is still nothing as of right now on the market
Mm.
that does really anything exactly similar to the things we're doing as of right now. That
Mm.
will change. Sure, we'll get copied, and that's part of business, that's part of life. Okay, no problem.
Mm.
I don't really focus too much on competitors. On Google's advancements, yes, that is definitely something that we have to keep a very strong eye on because they have crazy amounts of really talented engineers, unlimited budget.
Yeah.
So we have to keep an eye on that. Now, the good thing is that we actually have a good partnership with Google. So they like what we're doing for two reasons. One is we attract new advertisers to their ecosystem, the ads ecosystem. So someone says, "How can I advertise my business?" They find Groas, and then they're like, "Oh, I guess I should start spending on Google Ads," and therefore Google wins, so they're happy. Second reason they like us is because we help their big customers, right? So people spending six, seven figures, we help them become more profitable.
Mm.
And in the long run, if you're more profitable, you end up spending more. So we have a pretty good, I think, relationship with Google directly.
Mhm.
Um, but you're right. It's something that we have to keep an eye on because they
Correct.
can make a change tomorrow. That
Correct.
means we have to rewrite a lot of the things we do.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And my last question to you, David. Can you, for my viewers and listeners and for me, share an example where Grow has delivered results far beyond industry benchmarks?
Whew. how are we defining industry benchmarks?
I mean, whatever is the norm in the industry. Let's take
That-
e-commerce as an example, since that's a business that you know like the back of your hand.
That's true. That's true. That's true. The reason I say that is because it's super niche dependent and like there's so many factors, right? Like um, in e-commerce, there's different niches. So, for example, the health and beauty niche is a lot more expensive to rank for. So
Yeah.
CPC is maybe $10.
Mm.
If we can bring them down to $5, that's a huge success.
Yeah.
Uh, maybe in the electronics industry, CPCs are like normally $3, but we can bring them down to one. That's a huge success.
Right.
Um, Look, I don't know because I'm a lot less close to the general users day to day. I think for me, still the most almost romantically, the one I still think about the most was that first customer
Mm.
because that's kind of what gave me the urge to keep
Yeah.
pushing on. I knew we wanted something, and we took someone who literally was getting zero business from Google Ads
Mm.
to having to hire more salespeople to fill the demand in the space of a few weeks. Um, so I'll say that there's obviously quite a few others, but that's the one that still
Amazing.
sticks.
But on that note, David, I just want to say what a fascinating conversation this has been for me and for my viewers and listeners. I mean, I think I learned many, many new things from you. And as I said, I'm going to go and check out Groas for myself as well. But thank you again for speaking to me. I'll keep looking out for Groas 2.0, 3.0, and whatever else you're going to be developing in the future. All the very best and good luck.
Thanks for having me on. Speak soon, hopefully.
Thank you for listening to the Brand Called You videocast and podcast, a platform that brings you knowledge, experience, and wisdom of hundreds of successful individuals from around the world. Do visit our website www.tbcy.in to watch and listen to the stories of many more individuals. You can also follow us on YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. Just search for the Brand Called You.